Sheikh Hasina is back as Bangladesh's Prime Minister. This is her fourth straight term in office. She had won once before and had been the Prime Minister, so this would be her fifth term. It's a remarkable achievement. But one thing that's been talked about since Sunday morning is what is the nature of democracy now in Bangladesh? I wrote a column where I said democracy in Bangladesh is like Schrodinger's cat. It is both dead and alive. Why do I say this? Because this is an election where the principal opposition party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, did not participate. It boycotted the election, saying that the election has been rigged beforehand in favor of Sheikh Hasina. The largest Islamist party, the Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, was barred by the court from participating in the election. BNP and Jamaat have been in power before in Bangladesh. And this time, none of the two big parties participated. Not just this, there were as many as 437 independent candidates in this election. But a closer scrutiny would show you that of these 437 candidates, there are many candidates who were from the Army League. And when they did not get tickets from the party to participate in the poll, they fought as independents. But the funny thing is that they were not expelled from the party for doing this. In fact, the party encouraged them to fight as independents. And thereby, there's always a chance that if they won the election, they could always come back. Then there were the new parties that came up closer to the election, a plethora of political parties. And Bangladeshi newspaper Daily Star did a report where it said that many of those parties were supported by the ruling party, Army League, Sheikh Hasina's party. So in a sense, this election, even before it happened, was put out in a way that Sheikh Hasina would have come back to power any which way. Now, this is not a situation that is perhaps tenable for Bangladesh. There were huge protests in the end of October against Sheikh Hasina. And, well, these protests were mostly political by the BNP and Jamaat. And I wrote columns saying that the civil society, at least a large section of the civil society, did not participate in it. The people who participated in this protests, were mostly activists of the BNP and Jamaat. But if this situation continues, how long is it that civil society will one day not come to the streets in anger? America has been since the better part of last year putting a lot of pressure on the Sheikh Hasina government to conduct free and fair polls. It has the U.S. ambassador to Bangladesh, Peter D. Haas, has in fact been to the election commission office before the polls so many times that it was almost a joke in Bangladesh that Haas was a candidate in the elections himself. That apart, America has put sanctions on security personnel, on politicians who they felt did not ensure free and fair polls. There is always a chance that something like this can make people come on the streets in huge numbers in protest against the ruling government. This has happened before. This has happened in Sri Lanka. This has happened in other places. I think going forward, there should be an attempt to make sure the next round of polls in Bangladesh are not so fixed. It is great that Hasina is back in power. In fact, the country has seen great development under her. GDP has gone up, infrastructure development. Societally, she has done a lot. The minorities, it can be argued, are better off under her. But just that is not enough. She needs to ensure that democracy is alive and breathing in Bangladesh.